which is in my statutes. In my statutes. Those verses there are Leviticus 26, starting with the 3rd verse, and it goes all the way up till the end of Leviticus chapter 27, which is verse 34. Leviticus 26 and 3 up to Leviticus 27 and 34. These verses here, these chapters, this portion, Bechukotai, in my statutes, we talked a little bit about chapter 26 on our midweek Torah class. We talked about the fact that the title of the Torah portion in my statutes, deals with the idea of the Most High blessing his people if, because that's how it begins, if in my statutes you walk, it says in Leviticus chapter 26, verse 3, if you walk in my statutes, then I will bless you. And he goes on to speak on the blessings that he will give to his obedient people. It's interesting, one of the things that we talked about was when you look at some of these blessings that he references, that they seem as if they're kind of normal, kind of regular things, like things that would just regularly happen if you just did regular things. And so we talked a little bit about the fact that the Most High, when we are obedient and walk in his ways, he'll give us the things that we should be getting. He'll provide for us the things that we should have. And on the adverse, when we are disobedient and we receive curses, then the things that we should have, the regular natural things that should happen for us, don't. And so it's interesting, if we go over to Leviticus chapter 26 briefly, just pull that up, Leviticus chapter 26 and verse 4 maybe?
3?
4, I think. What's 4? 4.
26 and 4.
26.
And 4. I'll show you brands.
Hold on, let me see what 4 is. Oh, yeah. Read 3 and 4 right there.
Says, if you walk in my laws and guard my commands and shall do them, then I shall give you rain in its season, and the land shall yield its crops, and the trees of the field yield their fruit.
Okay, very good. That was what we were kind of honing in on, the fact that he said that I'll give you rain in its season. When something's in its season, it's something that should actually be happening already. And the Most High allows for things to happen for you the way that they should happen for you when there is obedience. So in this chapter, it talks about, it gives you kind of this if-then situation. If you obey, he will bless. If you disobey, he will curse. If you repent, he will restore. And if you continue, if you rebel, then he will discipline and chastise. And so one thing that I think is important for us to be able to understand is the Most High, there's principles that are given to us over here. There's blessings behind obedience. There's curses behind disobedience. There's restoration behind repentance. And there's discipline, chastisement behind rebelliousness. And so, from a principle standpoint, why do these things change over time? They don't. They don't change. Spoiler alert, they don't change. These things are, if there was any such thing as universal truths, these are them. The Most High calls for us to do the things that He has deemed as pleasing in His sight, and there's blessings as a result of this. When we understand what the new covenant is, the thing that Yeshua came to bring to pass, is the Spirit in us, which is the law in us, in our hearts, that causes us to walk in His way. So if then we say that we have the Spirit in us, there should be fruit. If we say that we're a good tree, then we should be bearing good fruit. And so there should be a correlation between those that profess to walk in the light of the Master. There should be a correlation between their behavior, the things that they do, and all of those things should be consistent with the character of the Most High. And so these are just principles that we see over here given to us over and over again in the Torah. And, it's just important for us when we go over to the New Testament to understand that, the things in the Torah, the things in the writings, the things in the prophets, these are all a foundation for us to be able to understand what we see over in the next chapter. This is a complete book, and it don't fight against itself. And so when we come to these, we have these ideas and these doctrines which kind of put the Old Testament against the New Testament, and we don't do those things anymore. They're done away with. We do these new things. It don't fit into our systematic box that should be in place. All right, so briefly I wanted to also look at, that's what we talked about kind of on Wednesday, but Leviticus chapter 27 was an interesting chapter. The way that not only this Torah portion ends, but this book of Leviticus, the way that it ends, Leviticus 27. I want to read verse 1 to 9. Leviticus 27, 1 through 9.
And it says, And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, When a man separates a vow by your evaluation of lives unto Yahweh, when your evaluation is of a male from 20 years old up to 60 years old, then your evaluation shall be 50 shekels of silver, according to the shekel of the set-apart place. And if it is a female, then your evaluation shall be 30 shekels. And if from 5 years up to 20 years old, then your evaluation for a male shall be 20 shekels, and for a female 10 shekels. And if from a new moon old up to 5 years old, then your evaluation for a male shall be 5 shekels of silver, and for a female your evaluation shall be 3 shekels of silver. And if from 60 years old and above, if it is a male, then your evaluation shall be 15 shekels, and for a female 10 shekels. But if he is too poor to pay your evaluation, then he shall present himself before the priest, and the priest shall set a value for him according to the ability of him who vowed. The priest shall value him. And if it is a beast of which they bring an offering to Yahweh, all such given to Yahweh is set apart.
Okay, very good. I probably could have stopped at 8 there. So when we look over here at this part, it's interesting. It talks about this idea of this vow that someone might make unto the Most High. It's interesting because when we look at this here and try to understand what it is that it's referring to here, it's interesting because it's kind of like an individual kind of pledging themselves to the work of the Almighty. However, that's what the priests do. The priests do that. There's things within the priesthood that a regular person can't even do. The priest has to do all of these things. When we looked at in Leviticus where it talked about, some of the offerings that were eaten, that were able to be eaten, some of those things were only able to be eaten by the priest. Some things that the priests do, only the priest is able to touch and do, right? And so when we look over here at this idea of someone making this vow unto Yahweh, that person is evaluated by what they would be able to do, and then they give money instead. They can't have regular people going around doing this or that. The priests do that. And so they put a value on each person. The most valuable person is that male that's in between, that's really in that counting stage. I'm saying counting as far as being counted as, I don't know why you had to say human. I was going to try to say something better than that.
Counted as a person.
As someone that's ready for battle, let's say that. Battle-ready individuals. They're basically the most expensive. And then you see that the number, as it goes, kind of goes down because it's dealing with what an individual is able to do, right? And so again, he can't really do what the priests do, even though he's offering himself to the priest, to the Most High. He can't do those things. So what you have is, a money exchange kind of a thing, an exchange for the money. And so, they give you these various situations, right? The various age brackets for males and females, men and women, girls and boys. There's no in-betweens here. On one side or the other. Determined, however, they are determined. But it's interesting that when we see over here, so these people make these vows to the Most High, and again, these regular, I don't know what else to call them, regular, common people. And so there's things that most things are not able to do, so that thing again is there's a number put on that thing, and so they cannot physically do but so much, but there's resources that can be added to the cause, right? You're always, the priests are always able to do something with these resources. And so even though a person can only do but so much, he is evaluated for what he is potentially able to bring, and he transfers that over to resources. And so, it's interesting that when we look at kind of the chapter as it ends and the whole thing as a whole, as it relates to Israel and its holiness and Israel's dedication to the Most High, it's interesting that it ends in this way, where it really gets to the idea of one offering their resources to you're offering it to the Most High, but it's towards the things that need to be done. And so again, when we look at these things from a principle standpoint, people talk about all the time, it goes down and talks about bringing tithe and everything else. And, people talk about all of these things, but from a principle standpoint, when we look at these things, maybe we can't do these things, line for line over here, but the principle still exists. The work of the Most High, it got to be done. And everybody's not able to fulfill every work and everything. But you got resources though. And and these things still needs to be offered unto the work of the Most High. We learn I think a valuable lesson here when we look at this, how this idea of holiness and dedication unto the Most High is kind of culminated. The book of Leviticus is culminated in dealing with, you have your physical things that you live your life according to your Maker. He is your Elohim. You are his people. You walk in a particular way. But when you want to, now this is over and above what you actually do as the children of Israel. This is a special vow. You want to sit up here and make a special vow unto the Most High. Again, it's interesting that it kind of ends up in this way, because it deals with the fact that, we still have to deal with the fact that, things cost. Things cost something. And we're not physically able, everyone's not physically able to do everything. But you can pay into the work.
Mm-hmm. And it don't even always gotta be money. It's your time. Yeah.
Resources. It's your resources. And so I think that it's an interesting thing, an idea that we see over here, because somehow it became kind of a dirty word to, when you think about money, giving.
People get funny.
People
They get funny.
is just, I don't understand where this whole idea comes from. But for whatever reason, there's certain things that people, that they don't want to deal with. And, when we look over here, this is someone who, they want to give their life to the Most High. But they can't all fully, because they're just not a place necessary, right? But they can give their resources. And so, people think, well, I can't be this, so I can't do anything. But what can you add? What are the resources that you're able to add to the work of the Most High? And so I think that, as we look at how this chapter closes out, it just causes us really to think about that idea of wanting, having a desire to try to be able through your resources to push the kingdom forward, because things have to be done and things cost. And the Most High, we live in this world, and we can't not think about the fact that in this world, no matter what the system is, these people was in another system, and still it was true that you needed resources to do things. There was only but so much that their pillaging of Egypt was going to last. At some point, they was going to have to go to the marketplace and deal with people and do some even exchanges for things. And so, unless they have these people who want to go over and above and say, I want to give this separation vow, I want to dedicate myself and give a representation of myself to the kingdom with my resources. Unless you have that, things can't go forward.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
I just remember even Bethel, New York. I think what your grandfather went up. They needed men to do the work up there. Remember something like that? And people came and did the work and got it in shape. And
I'm pretty sure Brother Bob and Brother Les was involved in that too, going up there.
so it's kind of like, the work has to be done. And there's people that's going to need it. But I never saw this in Leviticus. Because Leviticus is about the laws of the priests, essentially, for the whole book. And so this is the priesthood and the priests. This is very interesting that it ends with talking about how the common people are able to participate in the Lord's ministry.
Yeah. Right, because you have a nation of priests. There's a nation of priests, right? And so there's things for the actual literal priests to be doing, and then there's priestly things that the regular folk can do, and all of it's given to us in Leviticus. So that's basically what we have over here. Does anybody have any thoughts, questions, or comments about Leviticus chapter 26 or 27?